This boy here weighs nearly 150 kilograms, but his IQ is only equal to that of a child. Since she was born, she did not know who her father was, but she was sent to another family to foster, but because of eating too much is like eating all the food in the family, so everywhere he gets leftovers to eat he can only rely on this pile of cups. To live from day to night, sleep on the street when the new term begins. Other children can go with their parents, but you can only go to school alone. The homeroom teacher enthusiastically introduced him to friends in class, but the surrounding classmates all cast strange glances at the nostalgic sword, saying he was all filth. Michael was lost among the group of people. There is no such money when after school all the friends go home and only Michael stays in the classroom because he doesn't know where to go and has no home to see his classmates with the swing. Michael wants to play too, but the kids his classmates all stay away when they see him. In the women's volleyball tournament he can only sit alone in the distance. After the popcorn match the rest of the others will be Mako's dinner until dark. She will hide in the strange school gym to spend the night tonight. Michael's fate will be completely sealed. This girl wears a white shirt to be kind. The cold weather of winter saw her in thin clothes. She immediately got out of the car and came in front of the old lady asking where to borrow it tomorrow. She bowed her head and did not dare to answer after the questions. Asking repeatedly the word Aunt Kieth, he slowly raised his head and opened his mouth. The answer turned out to be that he was just a homeless person. Being able to sit back on the street and watch this boy bring water, Mrs. Powell decided to take her home tomorrow. Arriving in front of Mrs. S. house, Michael was surprised because he had never seen such a luxurious villa before. Sewing boots with a quilt, you can sleep well on your 9 sofas. He looked around with mixed productions, but the gel granny was a bit worried. Am I too subjective to not have a good relationship? If he steals things from the house, then the next morning when he walks high and jokes with his husband, when he hears my screams, please report it to the police immediately. But when she went down the stairs she was very surprised that the sofa was clean and tidy. The legs were also neatly arranged, but the old machine had left. The woman was a little more sensitive. She ran out quickly. She wanted to invite Michael. He spent Thanksgiving today. Say you have never seen such delicious food. The whole family was busy making food and then rested on the sofa enjoying homemade food while eating while watching football, but the boy who understood many stories only dared to take a little food and eat gently. He didn't monitor any sound, and when he saw that, he turned off the TV for the whole family. Sit at the dinner table, hold hands and pray for her daughter. The big one was shy, so he took the initiative to reach out and then everyone closed their eyes and prayed together. This is the first time Michael felt the warmth of her family lesson. Vietel wanted to give Michael 2 sets of winter clothes, but he insisted that he had clothes at home and had no choice and only took him home to get clothes. She wanted to get out of the car together but was told. The guard stopped it. It turned out that this was a residential area in a neighborhood for black people there that was very messy trying to come to the door. But she saw a sign saying the house had been sold and his mother had moved, and tomorrow she sat sadly in the corner and was silent for a long time. When she returned to the car, Michael's sadness. Her eyes couldn't get over the syrup, so she took him to a nearby store to buy some clothes until it got dark, then came back home and cleaned Michael's room. Also especially a large bed for him to see the room of Mrs. Bot Joe prepared for me tomorrow. Emotional asked if this will be my own room after me. Don't have a private room behind you. Video of the holy man on the chair, can't stop thinking for a while, right? Or they go to the library to read Callie books and get a book that belongs to her, smiling and talking when she was a child. The best thing is that my mother reads the story in the book right away. She asks this question of whether she often tells stories to me or not. Michael shook his head, saying that his mother was a mystery, let alone telling stories about how meeting her was something he had longed for and it would never happen again. In her heart she came out very sad because she made a decision to install. They were together, taking a garden portrait, but the garden boy they adopted could only sit alone, the wife despite her husband's objections to call her to take a photo together, so he entered the picture. One awkward way, Yahoo Photography 1 hour away. The boy had a house for the first time, but her friends thought it was embarrassing to adopt a boy out here, reminding her that there was a daughter in the family, but the understanding eldest daughter took direct action to show her family position to her aunt and uncle, and she did not avoid her relatives studying with him today. He saw her come out and said that he wanted to take the driving test. This is the first time Michael sims something. He just wanted something to prove his identity, because in his life there was not a single legal document related to this modest request. She immediately agreed, but when applying for a driver's license car, the staff said that there is no such person on the system until tomorrow. She won't know what his last name is, so she needs to sign an adoption agreement so she can apply for a certificate. When she was allowed to drive her car and wait for her tomorrow at the family meeting, Mrs. Powell asked Michael if he was still willing to be a part of our family. I have become part of my own family. So tomorrow she has a successful driver's license. But the family also gave him a secret gift. Michael got stuck and walked out of the house, then took a towel to heaven and earth. Mai was very surprised that it was his own car. The little boy was very excited. Make sure to take me out to play with 2 people tomorrow. The car was both singing and excited, but right after that, a sudden accident happened. Mrs. Buffle rushed to the scene after receiving a call. His brother's was all blood, but strangely, the boy was not injured at all. Even the police could not understand that a child was hit so hard, but there was nothing to do. How lucky the boy was. Kwok touched to comfort Michael, but he did not dare to look up and sat on the ground holding his head to push the guilt. It was not his fault. Junior didn't have anything to do with hearing this. Michael slowly raised his head, but when she saw that Michael's right arm was covered in blood, she finally understood that he had used his hand for me. Only at a critical time, and so could Junior's safety be ensured through Mr. Sims' recommendation. She was selected to join the school's rugby team, as long as Michael entered the field with a big hair. Big and strong arm. The coach recognized him. I thought he would become a rugby legend in the future, but in the first training session, Michael's expression in the coach's eyes decreased. He was too kind. Then what? Coaches can teach you that you can't give in to your opponent right away. And when the coach cheered Michael up one more time, but he can only drag his opponent across the field at the most. The coach can't wait anymore. God give him a healthy body, but it's a pity that he won't give him a normal set. If it ends at the end of the training game he was still the same, the coach had no way to accept him and the high team stood up. And the most important moment: if someone wants to hurt your mother, will stop them, right? What did you do when Junior was in a car accident? And you absolutely protect him, right? You have to absolutely tell him, now this football team is your child's family. You have to protect him from those people. I followed Mrs. Bushnell's advice. He finally woke up and treated his teammates like his family. Never soften again. He was like a bulldozer on the field, leveling everything. Soon no one could get close to Mako's teammates. The coach was surprised when he ran to ask to pick up the seed. She said something, "What's with him?" That's all. The video only responds to one way of testing consciousness: protect his family. Up to 918 points. Soon she went to the first official match of her life. This was the first match of a garden boy, but facing a lot of spectators. He was obviously a bit annoyed, so his performance was very poor against the crowd. The opponents are all strong people, so their point gap is very far. Your team's players even mocked the bets for only the big beauty. This Mr. White Tea said rubbish and discriminatory words about Mako's skin color, making the opponent increasingly arrogant. More and more, Mai tried not to receive the river code, so he fought the opponent, even giving Michael a kick after he fell to the ground. Seeing that, the coach couldn't sit still anymore. He looked go to the referee and settle, but because this is the opponent's home ground, the referee not only did not defend but also gave Michael a yellow card. This makes the contour trainer very angry. These players are all my family. I will protect them like I protect my wife and children. The tickling flight was very touching the team. True to his family, Michael has already begun to show how he will show the audience what a bulldozer really is. Surprised because of him, the players who mocked him earlier were all pushed out of the field, quickly becoming Hotmail's powerhouse. No one could withstand Mako's attack, Corel's audience. Under the leadership of Mako, they won a miracle. The youngest son took Mako's video and made it into a plate. The major universities witnessed the great match. The gladiators, the principals all say I want him in the days to come. Mrs. Buffle, he seems to be open all the time, with representatives of the major universities in turn visiting the scholarships on offer. Also increase multiple times select. Tomorrow afternoon will become the biggest problem in her house. Video hope that you will enter FPT University FPT, because this is the former head of your wife and husband. They hope to bring glory to their alma mater and her husband under the hope of the family. Michael chose this university, but not long after a strange woman came to her tomorrow and told her that she had passed the final procedure. Enough for you to get in. I just want to tell you that you play football for the University of Mississippi to polish your young name. This is just for their benefit. Mike tried to figure it out, and he started to doubt Mrs. Powell. And asked Mrs. Brown, why did she lie to you? Why treat you like an idiot? Having lost her temper with her, think of all the kindness she gave him. It was just selfishness after her. Why didn't he have time to explain he was so angry she once again returned to the slums where she was born? The family here, after listening to your old friend's story, constantly insulted the old Roma doll, getting angry, touching her hands and feet, pushing her down, all with just a few pushes. It can be understood that he has long since passed away. Treat her as her own mother. Day 2. He took the initiative to call her two people just met. She immediately apologized and said no. See suggestions for you to try to choose the school Mississippi, each person's path, so you should feel confident no matter what you choose, as long as I guarantee that every match of your child will come to support tomorrow. She was already laughing, but this time his choice was still in Mississippi because it was an old story that my family attended right away. When she opened the school, she couldn't always play the game when she changed, but she didn't have money to eat, so call your mother immediately. Laughing in happiness, kindness changed the life of a garden guide. This touching film is adapted from a true story. Michael of the present has been a star Ovarian woman, from a homeless boy to a top star in the world. Grow up and you did not live up to her expectations to reduce the family's vegetables. Show your strength on the football field. The movie ends here. Thank you for watching.